Hello my friends, welcome to another episode of Green Dawn. My name is Wilfred. So today I'd like to talk a little bit on the fifth character I've played, which is a sorcerer, combination of Arcanist and Demolitionist. And if you recall, in my previous videos I've been randomly drawing what I'm going to play in Green Dawn, mainly because I do not want to overthink of, oh, should I combo this with that and would that be strong and so on. So I take all this out of the equation and just randomly draw it. And my goal is to experience all the masteries in this game, not the combo. Combo is 36 combos. So that is a very, very long time, kind of like it's a big time investment, which I will still do it, but probably at my pace. And I would like to experience all the masteries before the new DLC coming up, hope this year, that is going to introduce a new mastery. So I'll again randomly draw a combo to see what I'm going to play. So now back to the sorcerer. And in this video, I'd like to also showcase to you a little bit of behind the scene before I embark the journey to play a class in Green Dawn. I do one of the two things. Either A, I research on the internet to kind of get the idea of what would work for this class, and that is especially important if you're playing the first character. So I've got some characters like Warden, Warder, the Cabalist and the Oppressor. Those are very much like borrowed ideas from the internet and what works for the end game as well as leveling. So I've done that. But there are also some classes I would like to do the research myself, like the Infiltrator or this Sorcerer as well. And it is really fun either way. The reason why I have decided to research on my own for the Sorcerer, because I couldn't find a build that I like to play in the for that class, for all these like top builds out there. And the great thing about Green Dawn is that you don't have to. You can comfortably at least get reasonably well. Sometimes may not be the strongest, but it's reasonably well on playing the class that you like to play, the way that you like to play. So what do I mean by that is that a lot of people, when they play the sorcerer, they use the demolitionist kind of tool sets to have a lot of fire, bombs or grenade or mine to destroy the enemies. Great stuff, a lot of area damage, I love it. But I am drawn to one single power within the Arcanist, and I would like to go through that with you, and also behind the scene what I've done. Right, it's called the Panetti's replicating missile, and the reason why I picked it is it's a bit of by chance. You could have different number of fragments, depends on chance. You can have a chance to pass through the enemy as well, and also another chance to have more advanced proliferation. It's interesting because that reminds me of Scarlet Witch when I play the Marvel heroes. There is a certain build that allows you to rely more on chance than just brutal kind of direct damage or damage over time. So I like it. Not many classes I can play that give me that kind of like a satisfaction. But that's why I would like to build my character using this one power. And of course, I'll layer that with, say, Devastation, which is from Arcanist toolset, and also I spam it with the Blackwater Cocktail, which is from a Demolitionist mastery, and other things, that passive and so on, to keep my character strong. So I'm working towards that, and so far there are good things about it, and also there are things that I need to be aware, some pros and cons, right? So I like to share that with you here. Now, just to demo a little bit on this replicating missile power is. As you can see here with the dummy, I can target one enemy, and it has a chance to pass through and or replicate into another enemy. But there's a bit of randomness to it, because whether it's split into 3 or 4 or 5, or later on if you put more points to it, perhaps more fragments, it would change the angle. It will kind of like split. So that's one point that's interesting. It's not deterministic that it will for sure hit multiple enemies. It depends on whether the enemy is on its path or not when it replicates, and also when it passes through, it can replicate again. So there's a lot of very interesting kind of like a setup to it. You could put a lot of points investment to make it 100% pass through, but then you sacrifice on other kind of damage or defense as well. So it's really a call to make. In certain tight dungeon is wonderful because you can just pass through the enemies and do the explosion, replication. There is a wonderful thing to see, as you will see in some of the clips that I share with you here. And when it works is wonderful. But I do find that what is lacking for this replicating missile, and I guess that's also the reason why not many people are using this as their core build, right? So what is lacking for this skill is it's kind of lacking as a single target. Kind of like if you go against bosses, and you can see in this video, it will take me a longer time to down the boss because it's very. This power is very kind of like chance based and also area based, right? It doesn't have some of this item, which may not be a good thing, like Diablo saying that if you hit less than 3 targets or less than 3 targets, then your power become multiplied by 10. I don't know, something like that. But it doesn't have any of this, so it is a slow kind of wearing down the enemy, and also this power is lacking of a solid damage over time. By that I mean, if you are kiting around, you are not doing any damage. You have to keep hitting the enemy bosses. Sometimes it could be hard because you need to dodge things around. In all other character, I will rely on something like pets or some semi-pet or some damage over time to burn the character, burn the boss while I'm kind of kiting around. But for this build, it's going to be really hard because it's just not enough damage over time, and you have to keep kind of hitting it as well. It could cost quite a fair bit of kind of energy to cast this, but you can also have things like mental alacrity to decrease the skill cost. And as you get more spirit, as you level, you get more kind of like spirit energy to play around with. So that's really cool. And the other thing, single target really sucks, and the boss wise also kind of like lacking of the damage over time, so it's not that great. As a range character for this sort of like a missile, with the smart targeting or not smart targeting, with a modern targeting kind of setup, because you can have classic targeting as well. I found that there are chances whereby the missile doesn't hit the target, but it kind of like the target behind the wall or what have you, just hit the wall or hit some obstacle. And to be fair, it worked both ways. So the enemy range damage may not hit you because there's a partial wall somewhere or it blocks it. So it works both ways. So you have to kind of like be a little bit smart on where to position yourself when they shoot out the missile. Also, elevation of ground will affect the missile as well. It kind of makes sense if you think about it in real life, but it's isotomic. But in real life, if you try to shoot someone kind of like over the slope, and you kind of like you look at the map, it's just there, but the missile just can't go through the ground, right? Obvious reason. So you have to be aware of all these things, but it does have the range kind of advantage, so you usually can decimate the target before you even get there. So that's really cool, unlike the melee character. So that part I enjoy it, and yeah, these are main thoughts around this power. I love the chance-based approach, but I also found that there are something lacking in terms of this power, and it's very unique. It's elemental damage. So elemental damage can only be fully benefited by percentage elemental buff, right? Because if you have any fire buff, you only buff it for 1/3 of it. So what do I mean by that? Elemental damage in this game is it means that it's 1/3 of fire, 1/3 of cold, and 1/3 of lightning, right? So if you have elemental damage percentage buff, you buff all 3 types of damage. But if you have only one, like fire, sometimes you have a gear that only buff you fire, right? Because a gear could be some good kind of stats to it, or good kind of like buff to certain power, but it's a fire power. So your missile can only be kind of like a buff for 1/3 of the value of fire. But of course, in my arsenal of damage tool set, I do have other like devastation that has a fire damage to it, and I also have the Blackwater cocktail as well that has fire element to it. So that's one thing bear in mind. But the good thing about pushing for elemental damage, which I have through the constellation, is that it also benefits the fire damage fully. So 100% elemental damage is 100% fire percentage damage. So that is also pretty cool. So yeah, it's interesting. I do not know how far I can go with this setup. I do enjoy playing this style a lot, and I do find that I struggle a little bit with the bosses compared to other classes I've got. The 4 others that I've played before, but that's okay. So long as I enjoy the gameplay, is I can get through it. I should be fine. So stay tuned. I'll share a little bit more on this class as I progress further into beyond the level kind of 80-ish. Then you can really see how the class coming in shape. And of course, I would also continue playing other classes I've not hit the 100 yet, which is the Cabalist, the Infiltrator, the Warder, and this Sorcerer. Alright, thank you very much for watching this video. Do drop me a comment box below. Comment below should you have some question or advice for me playing this. And yeah, I've done a fair bit of research on this character, as you can see. Just some sort of like behind the scene notepad scribble that I've done on researching how I should progress in my constellation. Went through the hours researching that myself, and also looking at what are the monster infrequents that I could use to make my character kind of stronger as I level. Alright, cool. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.